Hello, and welcome to At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Oftentimes, people hear the word leader and they think only of political leaders, but leaders come in many forms, and that's worth exploring. I'm Jim Hoyer, born and raised in West Virginia, a husband, a father, a new grandfather, and a retired military leader, serving for over 40 years in public leadership for our state and nation. Now, the most important mission I have going forward is to educate, motivate, and empower our next generation of leaders. At the leadership table with me today is Dr. Danny Twilley, Assistant Vice President for Economic, Community, and Asset Development for the Brad and Alys Smith Outdoor Economic Development Collaborative at West Virginia University. I've known Danny for a while. I will tell you that he is one of the bright young leaders at West Virginia University working the land grant mission to make West Virginia a better place and to achieve its full potential. So, Danny, I want to thank you for joining me at the leadership table today, and it's great to have you on.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to be here and obviously spend time with you talking about what makes West Virginia great and what we can do to continue the momentum that we're building.
Very good. So, Danny, we'll start out by asking you the same first question we ask all of our guests. Please share with us a standout moment when you learned something really important about leadership.
For me, I think it was when I really started doing a lot of community and economic development. And I was working on a project in Appalachia, Ohio at the time, that had implications for the region. And I went into that project with an idea in mind of the outcome. And as I started going into it, within a few months, we realized very quickly what we wanted to accomplish was not what the collective good was. And what it allowed me to do really early on, and it taught me a very valuable lesson, is, finding opportunities for flexibility and integration of multiple ideas, approaches, and principles. I've brought that over to a lot of the work that we do here, and it created, the saying of you create the table of the willing. It's the most important thing that we can do, and you always leave an invite to anyone who wants to join that. And even if everyone at the table agrees with you, you haven't built the right table. So ensuring that you have the right people at the table that can challenge your ideas, challenge your assumptions, but always leave room for the next group or the next individual to be represented. And it was that project on so many fronts. We'd have people start showing up to meetings like, I don't know why I'm here, but I know I need to be here. And that, for me, has created kind of the foundation for what we do, I think, in the Smith Economic Collaborative. It's what we try to do in the work that we do for economic innovation, is laying that type of foundation of we think of big ideas, we solve the yes on them, we experiment, we're not afraid to make mistakes as long as we learn from those. And we all try to pull in the same direction using our individual skills and talent. And it all came from that original lesson of creating the table of the willing. And it's what we try to do on a daily basis. Not saying we're always perfect at it, but that's what we try to do.
No, and I think that's a great example of principle of leadership, that leaders aren't just people who tell other people what to do. Yeah, a true leader is somebody who can build that coalition and collaborative and get people to move for a common purpose and a greater good. So great example. So before I get more specifically into the work that you are doing, you are not from West Virginia. So tell us how you got here, but more importantly, we want our listeners to understand why you stayed here.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the short version of how I got here. But really, I was working and doing this work in Southeast Ohio at another institution. I was a faculty member there. But I started doing a lot of work kind of nationally within Appalachia as well around community and economic development. Basically, it's asset-based economic development where we invest in people and place. And I happened to be doing a national workshop, and Greg Hoyer from WVU was there. He's like, man, I didn't know you were doing this type of work. Love to see you here at WVU. That started some of, my first visit here. Then that started some continuing conversations of like, well, how could we leverage and lean into this type of work? And then, I was fortunate enough to get to spend time with President Gee, and President Gee called me up and said, we know that others have tried to get you to go to their institutions and work, but we need you here. And President Gee is not only someone I admire, someone who has done things for higher education that will never be done again in such a positive and influential way, and to have the opportunity to come to WVU, lean into that land grant mission was a calling for me. I looked at those other offers, and they already had the pieces in place where when you get the opportunity to come in and create and establish something that's really meaningful. And so that was really how I got here. That was over 5 years ago. It's hard to believe. We moved during COVID, so that was an interesting time. But, the important part of that question is what keeps me here. And I think I love Appalachia. There's a period in my life where I was able to through hike the Appalachian Trail from Georgia to Maine. And there's something through that experience got me really connected to the mountains, the people, the place of Appalachia, the culture of Appalachia. It's like a big warm blanket. It really just is. And so when the opportunity come to West Virginia, and I've been recreating here for almost 20 some years, so the opportunity to live here was just was a remarkable one. So then what keeps me here? I think the people are just, genuine. The culture is rich. I think we have so many different amenities here that are unrealized, or they're realized, but they're not maximized. And for me to be able to do that work. And then finally, I think, the university, being able to operationalize with you and many of our partners and friends, the land grant mission, like I said, it's a calling to me. It really, really is. There's a purpose behind it. It's not easy, but for me to be able to help uplift a state that has so much potential with such great people, that has all these assets, is something that keeps me here.
Danny, it's clear that you're passionate about Appalachia, its culture, being here, but you're also very passionate about and involved in outdoor recreation.
Yeah.
In the Mountain State in particular. So tell us what you love about that and what's unique about outdoor recreation in West Virginia.
Yeah, I truly fundamentally believe it is one of our strategic differentiators because it's valuable, rare, and hard to imitate. With our geographic proximity to the Eastern United States and population centers, we have a strategic advantage in what we can do. We've seen other states such as Idaho, Utah, Colorado, and Arkansas is now leaning into this work, and Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee. And so when you take a look at our assets, right, it is that we have the highest density of moving water in the country. So that means proximity of rivers that move. That's a very valuable and rare thing that paddlers, people who like to fish, could all be part of and have access to. The other, I think, a couple other things is that one of our geographers said one time, if you flatten West Virginia, it will be the size of Texas. And so we have a lot of topography. So we are one of the only states that every county is considered mountainous. And so how do we lean into that? Because it does create challenges from a development standpoint. We don't have a lot of flat land. Building infrastructure into it is challenging. So how do we take those outdoor assets and leverage it? I think we have a lot of rural small towns of brilliant main streets that need, as they're starting to be revitalized, you can get proximity to open space and green space like never before, and particularly in the Eastern United States. That's a value. We have some of the best historic trails and mountain biking we can build upon. We have some of the best climbing in the eastern United States between what we have here at Cooper's Rock, the history of Seneca Rock, and what we're doing in the New River Gorge. You have the Mon Forest Town initiatives, which is trying to leverage the national forest, and you see the development of the Mundy Lake trail systems, and now what's happening in outside of Elkins. So we're really having an opportunity because we have proximity and quality that is almost unmatched in the eastern United States, and we can compete nationally in this narrative. We do have, as we talk about, we have all the right ingredients here, right? We really do. We just need to get everyone in the right kitchen, and we need the chefs to lead us. And I think we have the ability and we have the recipe to really leverage these outdoor assets. We've seen states like, Arkansas. I talk about it a lot in some of the presentations, but you have one of the wealthiest families in the world, and particularly in this country, and they can invest in anything, literally anything that they wanted. And they chose outdoor recreation. It started as a personal passion of two of the grandsons of Walton, but it became more because they saw it as an economic and community driver. And their director of Parks and Rec is on record of saying that trails changed everything for that community. And then you couple that with their food and their art. If we can replicate some of that, and we can talk a little bit more if you want about some of the population trends that we're seeing as a result of quality of life. And that's what this is all about. It's not just outdoor recreation. It is about quality of life, where people can live, work, play, afford their home, have good access to healthcare, which WVU has been leading the charge on. We can have great education. If we put all of that together, we have something that almost no other state has.
So tell us about how you've been taking that and that natural resource that historically West Virginia exported our resources and our people, but how you're taking that natural resource that we have in the state and through a program called Ascend, attracting the next generation of people to come back to West Virginia to be leaders here. So tell us a little bit about Ascend and how that works.
Yeah. Do we have an hour or two on that? No. So really, what we're seeing is we are seeing a fundamental shift, and COVID was start of that. But the idea of Ascend was rooted before that. We happened to hear Brad Smith, now President Smith, speak in Huntington, and he talked about a program called Tulsa Remote, where they were incentivizing people to come work remotely because they liked, affording their home, not having to commute, and outdoor recreation. And we're like, Tulsa Outdoor Rec, they built a $450 million basically park called the Gathering Place. And we're like, well, Mother Nature built ours, right? So we had something. So we started looking into that. You couple that with, the strategic, or the fundamental challenge that we're seeing in West Virginia is we lost more population than any other state over the last 72 years. From 1950 was our highest population to now it's currently our lowest population. It's about 12%, about 200,000 people that we've lost. That has been through, people not moving in and people leaving the state. Unless we figure out population, a lot of the job development, economic development is going to get stopped. So this is really about people. It's about keeping our best and brightest here and our students. It is about making sure that they know that they can have a great life here and they can make a difference. And so how do you start that? And so that's where Ascend really came in. We took advantage of some trends with remote work through COVID, really kind of accelerating that comfort with that. And so we went out and benchmarked some of the best programs out there that were doing this. We learned from them and we said, well, what can we do in West Virginia? So we built a program on 3 pillars: community, and that's community, creating community. That's about the communities in which we live in. About purpose. Come make us better. It's about serving others, about making a difference in where you live. And then the other was the outdoors, because that is what we have. And really what they have done in the last piece with the outdoors is that they helped us understand it's not about having some of the best whitewater for them. Being able to go take a hike at Cooper's Rock after work on the weekend is access where we might take advantage. And so as these people are coming in and we offer them a financial incentive, we offer them recreation packages, we offer them concierge services to help them in that transition of moving, but we also offer them social programming in which they can build community and integrate into community. And what we have found through that is that we have a 96.4% retention rate. When they come here, they want to be here. And what we have also found is that it's sending a message to our young people and other people in the community. Hold on, you moved here from where? California? Why? And they start telling the story, and people are like, oh my gosh, you're choosing to live here? Maybe I could too. So it's starting to shift that narrative and that understanding of why West Virginia, because they know what we have, because they've lived other places. And so if we can start integrating that into our conversation. So right now, we have almost 1,000 new residents into West Virginia because of that program. That's including ascenders and their spouses. Many of them are buying homes here. Many of them are volunteering in serving on boards, starting nonprofits, starting businesses. About 20% of them are basically entrepreneurs or consultants as well. So we're starting that kind of entrepreneurial mindset as well. So that's kind of how Ascend works, and that's kind of where we did it. And so that's kind of filling the bathtub. But the biggest thing, and for me, it's our North Star. It's the most important thing that we'll ever do is plug the bathtub, and that's from our talent. We have to figure out a way to ensure that our young people know that they can live, work, play, have a great, support their community and raise a family here in the Mountain States.
So when Ascend started, it was about bringing remote workers in. But now as you've developed, I guess we'd call it the secret sauce as to what encourages these people to come to West Virginia, but also to stay here. Now you're starting to look at other programming. One of those is First Ascent, which is designed to keep our high school and our college kids here. But we know that also, even if we kept all of the high school students that graduate each year in West Virginia and all the college students that graduate, we still couldn't fill the 24,000 plus vacant jobs we've got. But so talk a little bit about First Ascent, designed to keep students here. Great example for the, West Virginia University. 60% of our students come from outside of West Virginia. They chose to come here. Now we got to figure out how to keep them here. So talk about First Ascent, keeping folks here, but also attracting our expatriates back home to fill vacant jobs.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've always been asked by the Smiths and by President Gee and yourself is always challenge our assumptions and our learnings. It's always like, okay, that's great. What have we learned? What are we going to do different? And when we originally started Ascend we started focusing on remote and hybrid workers. Mostly because we didn't want to take away jobs from West Virginians, right? That's not what we want. We want to be value add. As we've come out with new data from our great friends and data analytics and data driven, we've learned that we have a lot of jobs open in West Virginia. And so you couple that with the outward migration, we are losing our young people. First Ascent kind of became that idea, and it's evolving because if we just focused on, like you said, trying to keep our graduating students here, we could keep every single one here, and it would still take us somewhere about 5 to 7 years to fill all the current available jobs. All right. And so we know that we can't just, do the same playbook for First Ascent as we did for Ascend. And so what we believe we need to do is work with our partners to fill our vacant jobs. Our business leaders, they have to help us invest in this. I think we also need to make sure that our West Virginians know that these jobs are available. And we need to ensure that we can upskill and reskill them, because what the worst case is if they're here and they want to be here And they're like, well, I don't know where the job is because I'm ready to advance my career, or I need to, that my job's wanting me to move. And be like, no, hold on, you can stay here. Here's a job. We can reskill, upskill, your skill set into this new job or this new in demand. And I think that's where the opportunity really lies for us. So I think First Ascent's going to start taking that on in partnership with many others to try to fill our jobs with our talent that's already exists in the state. Um, and it's a basic, business principle. It's much easier to keep a customer than it is to get a customer.
Right.
I think also as West Virginia University, when we pull our students from out of state, is they are sending a message that they want to be at WVU. And we should have it that they're like, why would I ever leave here? Look at all the opportunities this state has for me. So I think we have a great opportunity to really lean into that with some of our partners. And then, as you know, it's something near and dear to your heart, mine as well, is that we produce the highest number of veterans in the country per capita, and we have the lowest return home rate. And these individuals have not only served our country, they have made great sacrifices beyond which I can, speak to, as you know very well. But they've also gained a unique skill set. They know how to work hard. They know how to serve and serve something greater than themselves. And they have a brother and sisterhood of the military that runs very deep. To me, that sounds like community, purpose, and they obviously spend a lot of time outdoors. It's all within a sense. So I think we have a chance to really lean into that, and we continue to try to crack that one, and I think we will eventually.
Last thing, so you are not from West Virginia. You've chosen to stay here. This is your chance to make that sales pitch. So what would you want to leave our listeners with regarding one of the significant opportunities of being in the Mountain State?
Yeah, so I think it would be to, for West Virginians to know that you all have something so special, so unique. And one of our great traits as West Virginians, and I'm going to describe myself as West Virginian by choice, is we're very humble. At times, you got to put that humility away and celebrate and elevate what we do and what we have. And so there's nothing, when you see that flying WV and people are wearing it, it is an instant connection. I don't care where you are. And that is what we really need to lean into. And for West Virginians to know that you have something special that people are desiring, that's unbelievably important. And I think we need to make sure that we, as West Virginians, make sure our young people know that we will do everything we can to give you the greatest thing we can ever give you. And that's the power of choice. I talk about it all the time. The power of choice is what we need to give our young people. The power of choice of where they want to work, where they want to go to school, the jobs they want. That's it. And if it's out of state, we'll love you just the same and we'll always invite you home. But we want you to know that choice, you have a choice to be here. I think too, those outside of West Virginia is that change happens, one idea, one person, one effort at a time. And so if you don't think one person can make a difference, I can tell you it does in this state. It really does. People have found ways to get involved, to show community. So I think if you want to make a difference in community, find community, want to fulfill your purpose by utilizing your time and talents in a unique and special way, West Virginia is it. And I think our brighter days are ahead. And the only way that happens is if people believe in it, invest in it, and by showing up, right? The most powerful thing you can ever do is show up. And so come here and help us, help make us better. And that's my calling card to the rest of the world.
Very good. Danny, you're a great and talented young leader, and I appreciate the great work that we're getting to do together in economic and community development and the things that you're doing to move the state forward. And thank you for being on with us today at the leadership table.
I appreciate your time and your talents, your service.
Thanks for listening. This has been At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Did you know you can now find me on social media at RMG Hoyer? That's HOYER, or email me at rmg jameshoyer@gmail.com.